Hi, I'm Ian Fife and you're watching Purebred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV.
G'day guys and welcome to the Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. We're here in the studio today to preview our round 3 encounter against Newcastle Jets tomorrow afternoon away in Newcastle, and I'm joined by one of Adelaide United's photographers, Sam Lacey. Lace, how you doing, my man?
Very well, thank you for having me.
No, thanks for being here, man. Well, as I've previously stated there, you are a photographer at Adelaide United. You were there Wednesday night taking some beautiful snaps on the sideline in that FFA Cup final. What a night it was. You had a better view than most. Quickly tell us, A, what the experience was like being pitch side, and B, what it's been like covering a lot of Adelaide United's games as a photographer for this season and last season.
Yeah, we'll kick it off. Wednesday night was obviously, if you were there, you know how good the atmosphere was and what a result it was for United. Being on the sideline, it's a little bit different than up in the stands. And instead of drinking the beer, it's getting thrown on you when we score, and you're looking through a little segment of the field really through the camera, so you don't really get to see the flow of the game as much, but you do get to see the snippets up close and review them straight after. So definitely a different experience, but awesome atmosphere, and being in a cup final win and so close to the action, it's great. And
as I said, you've been covering a lot of games as the man behind the lens last season as well.
Yep.
Has it been about a year now that you've been doing it all up?
Yeah, since last year's pre-season.
So how have you found it? How's it been?
It's been good. Obviously, you get to see in behind the scenes and see how things are working a little bit more. Some of the training sessions and pre-season games are definitely interesting to see versus the actual season and how they set up and how they prep and whatnot. So it's a nice insight for someone who is a bit of a fan themselves, obviously, to take away.
Oh, very well said, mate. Well, we're going to get straight into it, Lace. It was a great FA Cup final, obviously. Really, 360 performance, 4-0 win. Surely it'll live long in the memory. How did you rate that for a cup final?
Yeah, look, I honestly haven't watched the replay again yet, but from what I could tell, just, as good as it gets, really. Home final, back-to-back wins, 4-0, goals, being shared around, and the assists, and the team, from what I could tell, playing really well against the quality side as well.
Yeah, no doubt, Lace. Well, we're going to get straight into the preview for tomorrow afternoon's game. So it's away at Newcastle, and as always, you can catch the action on Fox Sports and on the KO Sports app. There's some significant ins for us against the Jets. Returning to the squad are a host of key players in Ryan Strain, James Tracy, George Blackwood, Pacific Nyongabire, Ben Halloran and Mirko Boland. This is obviously from the round 2 game. Some of those guys were involved in the cup final. Yared Abachu is out injured, and Jordan Elsey is still unavailable with that concerning knee injury. Bear in mind 2 to 4 players may be omitted. The biggest and most pressing matter, Lacey, is whether Gert-Jan Verbeek is going to make any changes to the squad that dominated Melbourne City on Wednesday night in the cup final. It was certainly a ballsy team selection, but it paid off more convincingly than I dare say anyone could have imagined. Does he make any changes for you?
I think it's difficult to say. Obviously, there are some big names that might be returning to the squad. But I mean, they did perform well, 4-0, clean sheet, plenty of goals, plenty of attacking play. So for me, I think he's got every reason to leave it as it is and look to use the bench where possible.
You've got the likes of James Tracy promoted. Mirko Boland's back in the squad as well. Obviously, people are going to sort of have the idea that if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But is it a little bit conservative or complacent of him to think that it's going to pay off again for twice in a matter of days?
Look, you could think that. Obviously, back-to-back games as well does take its toll on the players. Luckily, it didn't go to extra time, so that's one good thing. But there are players like Troisi that people are going to want to see bled into the squad and integrated. So whether or not he starts or comes off the bench, and similar with other players like Boland coming back, I think that's something he will definitely consider.
Yeah, really on the mark there, mate. So Boland has been named, as previously mentioned, but as a visa player and someone that plays in such a key position for us, and after missing the opening 2 rounds and the cup final, is the pressure about to ramp up on Boland with his contract now in its final season? Has he done enough?
Look, I'm probably not the man to judge that for him. As I said, seeing through the camera, I see really what I focus on, not an overall sense of how he's performing. But I mean, I think he has been a solid player for the Reds throughout the past 2 seasons, so it could be yes.
I mean, you've got to obviously bear in mind, like, since season 1, visa spots are always, quite intensely judged. He's been injured a lot. Now, you've played at a very high level yourself. Do the players sort of generally get a bit of a feeling amongst themselves when one of the key cogs in that team is continually struggling to be fit? Do players sort of talk about that behind the scenes, or does everyone just get on with it?
I think at that level they mostly get on with it. I mean, you do get a bit of a sense of he's consistently not in the squad, or for whatever reason not playing as they hope he is. But I think there would be a level of professionalism and just getting on with it with what they can, and obviously that's something that the players don't have control over. The coaching staff potentially have other views, but the players themselves, I think, would get on with the job.
Yeah, very diplomatically said there, mate. Indeed. Al Hassan is the talk of the town at the moment, Al Hassan Toure. And at this rate, it looks as though he may keep star off-season recruit Christian Opseth out of the team. Do you believe as an experienced forward that Opseth will know how to keep his patience, and given now that he's seemingly fit enough to be in regular first-team contention?
Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult for him because he's come into the squad probably thinking that he's going to challenge and hopefully take up a first team starting spot. And then you've had Toure come in and perform brilliantly throughout the pre-season and FA Cup. And it's definitely not what he was intending, I guess. But at the same time, I think he's got some level of teamsmanship and understanding that this youngster is playing well. There's no reason to look at him otherwise. He's been scoring consistently and assisting the goals, which is exactly what he needs to do. So I think it is just a bit of a patience thing. I think they'll both get a look in, and then it's just whoever performs.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the money. So after the loss of Isaias and a number of key midfielders struggling with their fitness and form so far this season, the pressure's really been on Riley McGree to perform for us. And it's seriously been amplified during the early stages of the season, and there's little question that he has delivered in spades. How far do you think Riley can go, and how long can we keep him at this rate, in your opinion, Sammy? Your younger brother did play with him in the Adelaide United youth team about 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see from the cup final and other games throughout his career, his short career, he's a talented player. And for him, I think it's sort of a management of whether or not he continues to develop here, where he's got a feel for it. He seems to be comfortable and performing well, and got a supportive team around him, playing in his hometown as well. So for him, obviously, I think he'd be looking to go overseas and challenge for some bigger clubs and bigger roles in his career. But yeah, for him, that's a really personal thing, and it might be 2 seasons time, might be 4 seasons time. But I hope that he can push overseas and continue to grow as a player.
Yeah, so your younger brother Connor did play in the Adelaide United youth team around about 2016-ish, 2017-ish.
I think so, yeah.
When Riley McGree was in the squad as well. Did Connor ever sort of mention that this was one player that had something special about him at all during his time there? Did you get any sort of behind the scenes scoops about the fact that this kid was going to rise to prominence before it actually happened?
Nothing directly, but you could tell there was a sense that this kid was good, because he was a very young player in that squad as well. And without directly stating it, I think you could tell from the team and what I could pick up that he was a talent to watch for sure.
Yeah, very interesting stuff, mate. So Nikola Mileusnic, now he's a player you used to mark not very long ago, back when you were both at Adelaide City. You used to mark him during training sessions in scratch
for a brief stint. Yes, that was the case.
So he's looked really good throughout pre-season, and he was again very important for us in the cup final. Is this the year that we're going to see him finally become consistent? Obviously, we know the quality and skill is there, but it's that end product that's sometimes lacking.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I hope that it is the season we see him really grow into that role and as you said, be consistent given the skill is there. We saw on Wednesday, picked up a goal and an assist, I think.
Yep.
So he's got the form, he's got the ability, he's performed in big games already. So it'd be good to see, another Adelaide youngster fill the boots of a starting 11 player.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you get with Nikola is you get assists, you get goals, you get sort of mazy runs, but what you also unfortunately get are chances being wasted sometimes here and there. Back when you were playing with him at Adelaide City, was it always the case that he was sort of a little bit up and down? I mean, obviously he must have been, extraordinarily a standout at that level. But could you always get that sense that he was a little bit raw as well?
Maybe a little, but nothing more than some of the other players in the league and in the squad. I hope for him, and I think that's something that'll develop with time. But it does need to be probably addressed, the consistency and being more clinical. But he's in the best environment he can be with the best coaches and players around him. So hopefully we start to see that change over the next year, and as we said, be consistent in getting a starting berth.
So when you were being utilised as a fullback during scratch matches, was he pretty hard to contain? Obviously that pace that he has. I mean, did you have to sort of bear in mind that you might keep that extra yard off him? I mean, how was it back then, marking him?
Yeah, well, I was probably a little bit fitter back then, so that helped. But no doubt he was quick, as you've seen from all the A-League matches. Difficult, but you just had to consider, I guess, your positioning, and the other guys in the team in the back line would know that, so you could sort of compensate a little, but definitely a handful to mark.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. So the Jets, they're opening their season to their fans as they began their campaign on the road last weekend in the F3 Derby, which resulted in a 1-1 draw. Not many pundits have given them a chance this season at all, as they've also not opted to replace star signing Wes Hoolahan, who sustained a long-term injury when we beat them in the quarters of the Cup at Cooper Stadium. Should we expect that they'll have plenty of fire in the belly come tomorrow, as they'll be hunting their first 3 points of the season?
Yeah, definitely. And coming off the back of that great win on Wednesday, I think we're a bit of a target. Obviously short time and turnaround between games does take its toll on the players, so we'll have to see how the squad stacks up and if everyone's played a full 90 minutes, that's probably going to be something to consider for the coach. But it's definitely a game where we want to as well come out and back up another good performance from Wednesday night with one on Saturday and take the 3 points.
Yeah, it's interesting because Gurgen Mabake in his post-game press conference on Wednesday night seemed to not take the view that we set up to counter-attack, even though we had 36% of possession. Do you think being pragmatic is the best way to go into this game? Obviously, I'm not sure exactly what the schedule is for the lads, but I assume they probably would have done a very light recovery yesterday and have probably flown out today and will do a very light session today in Newcastle. So you're going to have a lot of bodies that aren't particularly fresh at the moment. You've got a lot of players in that team who are doing a job at the moment that probably haven't quite gone about getting the right loads in that they'd like. Do you go in there on Saturday away against Newcastle sort of looking to counter again and keep that similar game plan?
I mean, coming back from Wednesday, it worked ultimately. For me, where I was on the sideline, a lot of the shots in the first half that I was picking up were Melbourne City coming from the centre-backs, pumping it out to the wings and then driving down the wings. So, I mean, we defended against that fairly well. There was obviously a couple of times that it was a bit iffy and could have gone either way. But I think it worked for us, and with the talent that we have on the pitch at the moment, the injury list considered and whatnot, it might be the best strategy, especially given we're coming up a win.
Yeah, it's hard to see it being any other case, in my opinion. Sam Lacey, your prediction?
My prediction, I'm hoping and thinking United 2-1.
2-1. Who gets on the score sheet for us?
I again would be hoping to follow the form and say Toure and Mileusnic.
Yeah, interesting. Well, let's find out a little bit about the man behind the lens. So you're a prodigiously good young talent. You started your juniors career at Campbelltown before moving to Adelaide City, where you spent the majority of your time as a youngster, although you did also have brief stints with Eastern United and Metro Stars. You then played college football in the US state of South Carolina in 2014 before returning to Adelaide City, where you were in the setup of the senior men's team and played a handful of pre-season games. You also regularly marked Nikola Mileusnic in training sessions during this time, as previously touched on. What was it like, man? I mean, you did play with some very good players. You got to play in the US, a very respected college system. You're now playing for Pembroke Gold Scholars and really enjoying your time there. You could be playing at a much higher level still if you wanted to. What was it like, just from a juniors perspective? You had some great coaches at City, as mentioned, playing against someone like Nikola Mileusnic, playing with him, but also marking him during training sessions. I mean, very formidable sort of tenure as a young player on the scene back in the day, mate. What was it like?
Yeah, it was great experience throughout all of the 20 odd years that I've been playing. At the start, obviously, it was more about fun, and it was more the family and my dad getting me into it, which I'm thankful that he has. So, it's given me some great opportunities, and the highlight for me would probably have to be the US college. The system that they have set up over there, and being a player coming into that from, I think it was reserves at Adelaide City at the time, it's a step up in terms of just about everything. So the standard, goes up, competitiveness goes up, as well as the facilities around it. So you're training 6 times a week or 6 days a week, normally 1 or 2 sessions a day. So coming back from that, you're feeling pretty sharp, and it really is a good opportunity, I think. And if anyone else is considering it, it's definitely something I'd say go for. In terms of playing football back here, obviously you said with Nikola and being coached by Damien Murray for the best part of a pre-season and start of a senior men's season, that was something as well that was a good takeaway. Looking at how he works with the players and the squad and how they react to him, definitely learn a lot about not only the football but the coaching aspect and how to be effective in that role.
It's two very different ecosystems, what we have here versus how things go in the US. Obviously, with a college system, that's basically the pinnacle of where you want to be when you're sort of looking to get from that grassroots stage into professional football. That's very much where MLS recruiters are sort of out and about at the college systems. What was it like as someone fairly fresh, still you're only a year out of school, going from that cutthroat sort of mentality of where it's very, very hard to make it here, to then being in a really established environment where the facilities and resources far outweigh what we have here, and just seeing sort of the competitiveness from both perspectives, being here in Australia and America, because obviously holistically both countries are at a similar level, but from that junior development stage, completely different systems.
Yeah, it is a bit of a jump, mostly in terms of the structure and the way you're living. So here, obviously, you train 2-3 nights a week, whatever it is, and you rock up to your games. There, you're living with your team in the same dorm rooms, effectively, and the emphasis, as well as being on school, while you're not there and while you're not directly in the classroom, all your effort basically is around performing and getting better and working as a team. So the challenge really goes up when everyone in the competition, everyone in the league, everyone in the nation, the conference and the nation is doing the same thing. It really helps lift the standard. And as you said, going over there for 4 years with all the MLS, scouts and whatnot, it's also a good opportunity. I played against Alex Mullen in the same conference.
Who's a very well-known NPL player, obviously the cousin of Daniel Mullen, but he actually had a brief stint in Sydney FC.
He did. So that was on the back of his return from, I think it was Mars Hill University.
Okay.
So he played over there, and when I was in my first year there, he was in his final year. I didn't realise we were playing against him until halfway through the game when he gave me a tap on the shoulder and said, "You're from Adelaide, yeah?"
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah, it took until we were actually in the game, and then after that he came back and jumped into the Sydney squad. So it definitely is a good development stage and can be a great period of anyone's career.
Fantastic stuff, mate. So just a few weeks back, you starred for the Pembroke Old Scholars, winning the Collegiate Cup for the men's A grade. Tell us about how rewarding it is playing at a social level with so many of your close friends, and how much you've enjoyed being at Pembroke Old Scholars as an alumni of Pembroke.
Yeah, it's one of the best environments I've been around. Even given the contact that we have with the club, not being every day, there's still a great camaraderie within a social team. And for me, it was difficult, I guess, hanging up the boots from serious or where I was football, where I was trying to really develop and push for further roles and higher up spots. And then making that decision to cut back from 4 days a week to 2 days a week, that was one of the drivers. So coming back and playing with mates is it's what it's all about at the end of the day, and that's why so many people get out on a Sunday and go for a kick. It's the same sort of thing, but for me it's still got that competitiveness, but it's got a different vibe amongst the club.
It says a lot about how good the club must be and how sort of ambitious it is there for you to obviously be sticking around year after year, given that you could be playing at a much higher level.
Yeah, well, it's definitely the camaraderie is the big part for me, and there's still, as I said, the competitiveness. The standard might not be as high as NPL, but everyone's still putting in 100% on Saturdays, and when we lose it hurts just as much, and when we win it's as good as ever. So the cup win that we had this year was another highlight, backing up from 2015 when we won the cup there as well.
Yeah.
So definitely some good vibes amongst the club, and it's kept me there.
And the old scholars and sort of amateurs levels do get looked upon as being sort of a last hurrah for a lot of players that sort of had it back in the day, but there is the odd sort of silver fox that's running around that's actually like quite the baller still. You must have had a few experiences where you played against someone and thought, geez, wow, you could still probably make it at a slightly higher level if maybe you trained and you didn't smoke or something. Yeah,
that's it. Once the beer culture gets into it, it makes it difficult. But there's obviously players. A lot of the first grade in collegiate league have come from NPL seniors or reserves teams.
Sure.
So the standard is there, and you can tell when people get a bit older, the physicality of it drops away, but the touch never really leaves a lot of them. So you can tell who's been a serious player and who's got it effectively and is just out to keep playing and keep enjoying it.
Wonderful stuff, Lace. Well, we've seen you get in touch with your entrepreneurial side in recent times, as you're a proud partner of the newly launched Adelaide fashion label Hatch & Co. Where can our viewers check out the latest range that Hatch & Co has to offer? And can you tell us how this venture came about for you? Obviously, you're sporting it right here, right now.
Sporting it today on a cold Friday morning. Yeah, so Hatch Attire could be found on Instagram and Facebook at Hatch Attire. And basically it came about, there was a few mates that all had similar thoughts, and we couldn't find the exact, it was shirts initially that we wanted, colour-wise and fit-wise. So we ended up getting together and looking at how we could make that happen and doing it ourselves. So that's what we did. And now we've got a range of 5 shirts and 4 jumpers, which, we've done it because there was something that we couldn't find that we wanted. So it's just building that for ourselves, and as it turns out, other people also are into the same thing. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's been a good experience. Definitely learning and not without its challenges, but where we are now is where we're happy to be, and hopefully we can keep growing that as well.
And in 10 years' time, the likes of Calvin Klein will be nervously looking over their shoulders, won't they?
Look, if that's the case, I won't be complaining, for sure.
Now, Lace, before we get going, your work can be found online across various platforms. Obviously, Adelaide United, the official website, will upload photos that you're taking, but you're a fantastic photographer in your own right. You do a lot of other work as well. Where can people find all the projects that you're involved with from a photography point of view? Yeah, so if you jump onto Instagram, Facebook, or the website is all the same. It's Samuel W. Lacey, or samuelwlacey.com, and you can find a range of my work there. And as Ella said, sport is probably the biggest part of it, and United is some of the work that I love most. Lacey, it's a fantastic portfolio you've got. Been great having you on the show, mate. One of Adelaide United's current photographers. Look forward to seeing how the team gets on this season. Very much excited to continually see you on the sidelines at Cooper Stadium as well, doing some fantastic work. Lace, it's been great getting you in the studio, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend, man.
Cheers.
Up the Reds. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the page. Go Adelaide United. Hopefully we register our first points of the new A-League season tomorrow in Newey. All the best, guys. Thanks a lot. Cheers.